more spiritually cultured, and then you will have the very best diploma that anyone can have. You will have the endorsement of God. That's from 7T 281. Workers, gospel medical missionaries are needed now. You can't afford to spend years in preparation. Soon, doors that are now open to the truth will be forever closed. Carry the message now. Don't wait, allowing the enemy to take possession of the fields that are now open before you. Let little companies go forth and to do the work to which Christ appointed His disciples. Let them labor as evangelists. Let them scatter our publications, talking of the truth to those that they meet. Let them pray for the sick and minister to their necessities, not with drugs, but with nature's remedies. Teach them now how to regain health and to avoid disease. Now, a little balance. It's always a tension, isn't there? A little balance. I have been instructed, this is from Medical Ministry, page 83. That last quotation was Counsels on Health, 397. I've been instructed to say that in view of the trying nature of medical missionary work, it's hard work. Those who desire to take up this line should first be thoroughly examined by competent physicians to ascertain whether or not they have strength necessary to endure the course of study through which they must pass in the training school. Now that's for those students that are enrolling in formal, colleges and training schools of ours that may take a more protracted time before they ever get into that. And for physicians who already have been through it and they know what's involved in that, they should be thoroughly examined. Go over with them, talk to them, explain to them what's involved, and see from their past experience whether they have sufficient to go through that. It takes physical stamina as well as mental power to go through one of these more arduous training courses. I've been instructed that if they are not able to carry a line of mental work covering a period of 2, 3, or 5 years, as the case may be, they should be told this and then counseled to spend their summer vacations in working in the open air, or if unable to stand the strain of constant schoolwork, they should be counseled to spend much of their time in outdoor work and to study books by themselves. In other words, because some God has called to be physicians, hasn't He? Some to be nurses, and those are going to be more protracted courses than just the medical missionary training. But we should not just blindly accept everyone that wants to be a physician and everyone that wants to be a nurse. We should look at them, we should study their past track record, see if we believe they have sufficient to be able to finish such an arduous training course. But it should not be after the practice of the world. Very important.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Does Wildwood have
A 2-year school
nurses?
for anyone. 2 years. We started to do a 4-year, and then because of some other reasons, we backed it back to 2 years.
So you have to be a nurse already. Like, can you go there to study nursing, like straight out of high school?
You can go there. It's not just nursing that you study, though. You study all the lines of medical ministry. Okay. The question was, in coming to a 2-year school like we have at Wildwood, can you just study the nursing aspect? No, it's a much more broad field of that. But it will, I can't hear you, I'm sorry. No, there's no certificate. Okay? No certificate. Nothing. What did the disciples have? Did they get a certificate? Did they? They didn't get that? Oh, poor fellows. They were so limited, weren't they? No, see, that's the mindset that the world has given us. Unless you've got a paper, you can do nothing. What did we just read? They're waiting for the endorsement of heaven. Okay? Now, if you're going to do a physician's work or a nurse's work, you've got to be licensed by the state. You can't just go in there and, set yourself up as a physician or a nurse. No, we've got to go by the laws of the land. But even in training for that, we are not to put our young people into schools where all of this era is being taught. We're not to do that. Because they spend years, they're already investing years, and then they come out and they've only been taught era in terms of how to treat the sick. You see? That's the problem that we're having. Now, they'll learn a lot of other good things. They'll learn anatomy and physiology, and biochemistry, and nursing skills, and those are good. But the problem is then they have to be re-educated to how to treat the way God intends for us to treat. So, and I think that now that question, no man can answer that question for you. You can't. I can't tell you what to do. But you need to know where we are living in terms of earth's last hour and ask the Lord, do you want me spending 5 years? Remember, we're not to put off the Lord's coming by 5 years, right? Is this what you want me to do, Lord? Am I to stay in school for another 3, 5 years or whatever? You've got to show me this. And if I'm going to do that, am I going to come out of that school indebted? Am I going to have learned the right principles of treating the sick? I need to know that. So those are questions that are agitating the minds of God's people now. I have been instructed that in many instances, more practical knowledge can be obtained in this way. In other words, endeavoring to treat the sick as they have opportunity, studying our books themselves, than by a long course of study in a medical school. Okay? That's Medical Ministry, page 83. Let me read it again. Talking about those that there's an option given for those not going in that longer time, either because they're not fit for it, they can't endure all that arduous training, or they don't choose to go. It says, if they are careful to exercise sufficiently, the brain will be clear to grasp the subjects that they study alone. They're not in school. They study alone. They're in a more balanced program, you see. They're exercising outdoors. They're doing some practical work every day. They're studying on their own, all right? Then their progress will be rapid. Let them endeavor to treat the sick as they have opportunity, putting into practice the theory that they have gained from the study, their own study of the books. I've been instructed that in many instances, more practical knowledge can be obtained in this way than by a long course of study in a medical school. Okay? That's Medical Ministry, page 83. Now, work in small companies. That's what I want to cover the next section. Working in small companies. This is from the book Education, page 179. The importance and the urgency of this message now. Something great and decisive is about to take place. The world is on the verge of a stupendous crisis. Angels are now restraining the winds of strife. that they may not blow until the world shall be warned of its coming doom. But a storm is gathering. It is ready to burst upon this earth, and when God shall bid His angels loose the winds, there will be such a scene of strife as no pen can picture. That's what is awaiting God's people. And you remember that there will be suffering ones, many. And God intends to have His people ready to minister to them, you see. And I really believe that at that time, people are not going to be interested what school you graduated from. They're going to want to know, can you help me? Can you help me? The work that should long ago have been in active operation to win souls to Christ has not been done. The inhabitants of the ungodly cities, so soon to be visited by the judgments of God, the calamities, these have been cruelly neglected. See, that's the vision we need to keep in our mind. We've got all these people, masses of people, and they don't even know what's coming. They haven't even heard the warning. The time is near when large cities will be swept away. And all must be warned of these coming judgments. But who is giving himself to the accomplishment of this work, that wholehearted service that Christ requires? Who's doing it? Well, we are, I hope, are getting trained to do it, right? That's what we want. But the question is, how many are doing it? How many understand what is just now waiting? And if we could just understand, we think, well, there's a few more things have to happen, and when, those things happen, then God's going to let things go, prophecy will be fulfilled. No. What is it that God is now holding the winds back for? For His people to get ready. When we're ready, He's going to let the winds go. And so we are the ones that are keeping the Lord from coming. He wants to come, but His church is not ready. So as soon as we get ready, God's ready. Okay? So you say, how much longer do we have? Well, the question is, how much longer do you want to delay? If you want to get ready, learn these things, be ready to be part of that last army that's going to minister to all these hordes of people that are suffering. Well, God will let it be. We pray, Lord, come, and then but not now. I still got a few more years in school. I got to get this degree. Okay, you see, that's the mindset. Welfare Ministry, 135. Did you hear that? Is the education that we have taken on by the world preventing us to get ready for what is coming? Well, you've heard the response of the people. Can you imagine that we are going back into Babylon to learn the education of the world, to train our own young people to call people out of Babylon? Does that make sense? Sending them back to Babylon to get the education of Babylon so that we can then expect that they're going to give the message, come out of Babylon. It doesn't work, does it?